Imagine waking up tomorrow and discovering that nobody on earth can lie. Not your friends, not your parents, not politicians, not even you. For exactly 24 hours, every question gets one brutally honest answer. Sounds amazing, right? Maybe not, because the first person you ask a question to could completely change your day. You walk into school or work and someone asks, "Did you sleep well?" Normally, you could just say, "Yeah." But today, you have to tell the truth. Then your friend asks, "Do you actually like my new haircut?" And suddenly, you really don't want to answer. But this is where the experiment gets interesting. Because lying isn't just about hiding huge secrets. We use tiny lies constantly to be polite, to avoid arguments, to protect someone's feelings. So what happens when every single one disappears? At first, the world might actually seem better. Scammers would have a terrible day. Fake excuses wouldn't work. Imagine asking, "Did you actually send the email?" No. "Did you really lose my homework?" No. "Do you actually want to come to my party?" No. Awkward, absolutely, but useful. Then imagine what happens in business. A company couldn't simply make a false claim about a product. A salesperson couldn't pretend something was amazing when they knew it wasn't, and negotiations would become completely different. But there's a problem. Telling the truth doesn't automatically make people good. Here's the twist. If everyone is forced to tell the truth, you might assume crime would almost disappear. But criminals don't need to lie every second. They could simply refuse to answer. And that's perfectly different from lying. Someone could ask, "Did you steal it?" And instead of saying yes or no, they say, "I'm not answering." So the world wouldn't suddenly become perfectly transparent. It would become a world where silence becomes incredibly powerful. Now imagine relationships. Someone asks, "Do you actually enjoy spending time with me? Are you angry? Do you still trust me? Were you pretending to like that gift?" Every answer could change a relationship instantly. Some friendships might end, some couples might have difficult conversations, but others might become stronger, because uncomfortable truths that had been buried for years would finally come out. And then there's an even bigger question: what happens to governments? Imagine a politician being asked, "Did you make that decision because it benefited you?" They couldn't lie. A company executive couldn't falsely deny knowing about a problem. A witness couldn't invent a story. But there's still a catch. People can tell the truth in misleading ways. For example, "Did you steal the money?" No. That answer might technically be true if someone else stole it and they merely helped hide it. So even in a world without lies, deception wouldn't completely disappear. People could use vague answers, omissions, technicalities, or carefully chosen truths. And that's the biggest lesson from this thought experiment. We often imagine honesty as simply truth equals good, lie equals bad. But human communication is much more complicated. Sometimes people lie to manipulate. Sometimes they lie to avoid consequences. And sometimes people soften or withhold information because they don't want to hurt someone. Remove every lie for 24 hours and you wouldn't create a perfect world. You'd create a world where everyone suddenly has to confront the difference between honesty, kindness, privacy, and deception. And maybe that's what would make those 24 hours so uncomfortable. You wouldn't just discover what everyone else really thinks. You'd discover how often you rely on small lies too. The convenient excuse, the polite answer, the "I'm fine," the message you say you'll reply to later. Suddenly, every one of them matters. Then, after 24 hours, the ability to lie comes back, but something has changed. You now know exactly what people were willing to say when they couldn't hide behind a lie. And you might never look at the words, "I'm fine," quite the same way again. Because sometimes, the most interesting thing isn't the lie someone tells you, it's the truth they were trying to avoid.